Welcome to the Real and Raw Show. I'm Lynn Serrano, and you are?
I'm Brian with a blue dot over my face.
Oops!
I've never done this before, clearly.
Yeah, we'll be right back after this and see what happens. Welcome back, Brian. Looks good, so good. Don't move too much. Don't
see me sweating. Much. My pits are soaked.
Oh no!
Because I was nervous. We're going live, and I look like crap.
Oh my gosh. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Lynn Serrano, and yeah, I know you're Mr. Brian Kellum. Today I'm putting Brian in the hot seat, and he's our wedding planner / he's like the master of ceremonies. He knows his stuff when it comes to wedding arena. So today I just sprung on him because he was doing his homework for another topic of this topic, which we will continue next week. But I wanted to do this because it's I'm the viewer today asking the questions and putting him on the spot. So I want to know his with his, I think, what, 25 years experience?
It'll be 30 next month. A month from today.
I'm trying to make you look younger. But anyways, 30 years experience.
I'm really wearing a mask right now. So
okay. Well, with the 30 years of experience, what I want to do is I want to ask him questions. And now his answers could be from 30 years from now or 30 years ago, or even before COVID or after COVID. It doesn't matter. We can figure that out later. But I want to see off the cuff some of his reactions to some of these questions that I'm asking. So there's 10 of them here. So number one would be, okay, the wedding season has shifted. What do you have to say about that?
That's geographically specific, because in Florida, for instance, they do weddings all year round, besides hurricane season, right? California, they do weddings all year round.
Right? But I'm asking also from your perspective, from where you do weddings yourself. And what has shifted for you?
I would say it's still yet to be determined, because I think people are still navigating what COVID is, what post health crisis is looking like.
Okay.
Because we've never witnessed one before, so I think it's I think people are learning lessons, but I still think it's very I think it's still very premature. In terms of seeing what that's going to be like, because some people might be going gangbusters, but for the type of people I serve and the outcome that I'm providing, I've had my season for so long, but then COVID disrupted that, so it's a work in progress yet. Is what.
So you absolutely have seen your wedding season shift on you.
Well, that's hard to say, because I mean, when a first full year is going to be like this year or maybe last year, you know what I mean? Right. But some states never even slowed down, so depending on where you are. But it's like, I would say probably the first year would probably be at the end of this year or maybe next year to get a full understanding.
See, and that's what I love is Brian knows not only his backyard and his area, but he is very seasoned and knowledgeable about what's going on globally. So I love asking him questions like this and asking him, because he stays educated and trend with all the trends. So I appreciate that about you, Brian. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is the size of the wedding. What have you seen?
Sure. This goes back to probably one of the trends that I saw in 2020 or 19, is that it was on a talk show, and they talked about trends, and is that people are going to invest more money with less people. They want to make an experience for people. And I think that that's going to continue to take place. That people want to create more of a personalized experience with more surprise, more engagement, more amazement of their guests. Not more people, like the 350 to 500 peoples. Now, will the anomalies like that? Yeah. But a lot of venues can't equip that, unless you're going to do a split guest count but you still have to have space. I mean, obviously, when you have a large guest count, that's more for dining than it is for dancing or socializing, right? Because at a maximum, about 20% of your guest count should be seated, after dinner, because of, the age of the guests, or, if they're handicapped in some way. But most people are going to be around dancing and everything like that. So a majority of the actual space of a venue is for seating for dinner. It is not for interacting and social hour and cocktails and dancing.
Gotcha. Okay. So the next one is the rise of elopements. I mean, have you seen that more now and then people doing party receptions after, or is that about the same?
I would say it's about the same from what I can see in the Midwest. And if I do, none of my customers do it, so it's like if people do it, I won't hear about it.
Okay,
right?
but I mean, you haven't heard other planners or anything
No,
talk about
I
that.
mean, what I can say though is that if people will like do like a justice of the peace, and then they'll plan a party later because they're expecting, or they have some healthcare or health insurance thing that they need to get married, so their insurance doesn't expire. So there is some of that. But in short, if nobody, I don't hear from people unless there's like, hey, we're going to get married and then we're going to have a party later, or maybe
Okay.
they never do,
Okay.
because of expense or whatever.
Gotcha. Okay, so how about social media being a part of your wedding?
I think it can be. I think it's also a very slippery slope, simply because of Mr. Christopher Rausch is here. And I'm giving straight lace no BS this morning, that's for sure, or today. So social media on your wedding or for your wedding it can help for ideas, but it can also be detrimental because of the quality of the information you're getting.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so what about eco-friendly weddings?
I think that depending on what somebody's views are and how they live their life, I mean, with electric cars and sustainability within putting solar panels on your house, depending on where you live, I can see some people leaning into them more than others. But I would say more philanthropy is going to apply there, because people, if there's a cause or if they have family members that passed away because of certain illnesses or whatever, they're more apt to, and plus I think it says a lot about the people, is that even though it's their wedding, they still want to make their wedding, yes, their wedding is about them and their commitment to each other, but also though of causes and people that suffered from things that they want to contribute to.
Love it. So change in wedding attire.
I think it's going more casual.
That's cool to know. I love that.
I think it's going more casual because it's more about making people feel comfortable and engaging in what we're doing versus, I remember back in the day when I would do weddings, or I would be asked to do weddings, and it's black tie, strict black tie. And it's like when I start talking to, parents of the bride or parents of the groom, it's like, I'm sorry, but if I can't be myself, I'm not going to be your best choice.
Yeah.
If it's so sticky and if it's so firm and like if you're the first one laughing, everybody's giving you a bad look, right? If that is a thing. I think it's getting more casual because, especially with smaller crowds, they want people to lean into engagement. They want people that don't know each other to get to know each other. They create special things throughout the wedding day that people take away, that bridge the gap of, I don't know this person going in, and I'm becoming Facebook friends with them or on social somewhere.
I love that. So now, what about destination weddings?
Destination weddings can be tricky. I think it is that even takes down the guest count even smaller. So it's even a smaller group of people. But there again, I think that for the size of extended families and whatnot, they will plan a party later. There again, it's like, okay, if there's family drama, if there's a military commitment in there, if there's some other, they don't want all the influence of people like their parents and whatnot telling them what they can and can't do, especially if they're financially involved in the decision making. I think it's an easy way to appease people, but also they'll limit the amount of people that are going, and then they would come for a party after.
I love that. Okay, what about the videography?
In what regards?
And like back then and now, I mean, do you find that people are doing it more so now than before, or still photography is a thing?
I think that
just quick.
Yeah, I think that people need to be reminded that what kind of world do we have? We have a video world, not a photo world anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, with Instagram, with YouTube, which is the second largest search engine, right? And so when I tell people, I'm like, okay, when you look at parts of your day, the ceremony is going to be the most static part, where everything is proscenium style or in the round, right? So there's very little movement, right? Once everybody's settled. But as cocktail hour goes on and people interacting, I I particularly recommend people do a balance of both, right? You know, depending on if you want to see each other before the ceremony, that's entirely a choice or a first look. But it's like, okay, where you can split your budget, or if you can, you know, get a little photography, depending on how photo savvy you are, and then spend the rest of your dollars on your video. Because I tell you what, is that that photo album, and I know this from countless couples, is that the photo album is more prevalent within the first couple of years of marriage, and then it goes in a wall somewhere, or it goes into a room or a cupboard or something like that. But the video is something that they can watch every year over a glass of wine or a dinner and revisit everything in less than 10 minutes.
Well, I love that you say something about cost, because I'm going to get into a question that you're like, I don't know, but I'm asking a question as being a viewer slash, we know this isn't set in stone or anything like that. So just play along with us.
Yeah.
And really just be as open and as crazy as you want with this. But I'm still going to ask it.
Sure.
Wedding costs now and then.
My answer to that is it's a very subjective thing. I think that what people don't invest in one thing, they invest in another. You know what I mean?
Right. So I mean, I don't want you to feel like you have to defend your answer in any way or anything like that.
Right.
I'm talking about it's just like saying, hey, a car back then used to be $300, right, and now it's $2 million. It just you're not going to be judged by your answer. Yeah. You're so good, but I'm just being like, I'm like, good example. You could say when I first started, the biggest wedding was this much or the lowest, and then now it's about. I mean, it's just have fun with it, Brian. Yeah. Don't.
So I'll give you an answer. Is that the customers I've served customers from $3,000 up to $250,000. Mm-hmm. Okay, over my career, after doing this over 800 times. When some numbers that have came out throughout the years of $23,000, $25,000, $30,000, obviously in more metro areas where the standard of living is higher, it could go up to an abundance of $100,000, right? Mm-hmm. But that also is dependent on guest count and the amenities and how you want people to be treated, how you want them to be served. But when you look at a lesser guest count, you want to immerse people more in a better experience. So maybe better bar, you know, or maybe it's an open bar all night versus, you know, a certain amount of alcohol for cocktail hour and a couple hours of bar service, you know. So the one thing I will say, though, about wedding costs is that look at your priorities. If it's not a priority to you and to the success of your wedding, don't invest money on it. Do not fall victim to the propaganda of what marketers want you to believe. Like, I'm not going to name any names, but there's countless businesses out there or types of businesses in the wedding industry that get you to believe that if you have X product, that it's going to make a difference of your wedding day. And then you're sitting there with all of this stuff after the money's been paid, and it did not give you the fulfillment and the outcome you wanted.
Gotcha. And I do hear from the audience, my thing is a little gargly, and I apologize for that. But
yeah, there's
I think it's my voice today too. I've been having asthma attacks lately, so my voice is very exhausted and gargly, but that's beside the point. Sure. Okay, personalized touches are important. And I know this we could spend an hour talking about
100%.
All of your answers are all about personalization and the importance of it. So I wanted to touch bases and give you the floor a little bit more longer on this topic, because I think people are going to see how passionate you are with the wedding industry and why you do it. So
I'd like to change one word in there, is that I think that they're essential, they're crucial, they're not important. I think that they go much deeper, is that when these are the pillars of the success of your wedding, right? Because it's like, after people go to your wedding, what's going to make it stand out in their mind? And I'm not talking about doing things that are, you know, well beyond your means of financially, or not you as a couple. Just because other people did it doesn't mean people are going to remember it, right? I'll share this statement, is that I do a lot of research on prospective customers, right? Being a psychology guy, being a marketing and advertising guy, and being a theater guy, is that there's one question that I'm still waiting for a prospective customer to come to me when I sit down with them and tell me, yes, I was at a wedding where this happened. And the question is, of the weddings that you've been to, how many of them did you feel like you knew the couple more when you left than when you got there, by what happened throughout the whole day? and and I'm talking probably a sample size of 50 to 75 prospective customers so far. I don't ask it to everybody, right? Because if somebody's scope is like 3 weddings, well, that's not really going to give me a lot of information. And so the opportunity is in the personal touches. The opportunity is in the unknown. The opportunity is in taking risks. The opportunity is doing things that you never knew were possible.
I love all that. I love the fact that you have taken the industry and tailored it to an experience that's like no other. And that, we need more little Brians around.
Well, and it's not prevalent. It's not prevalent,
I know.
because I serve a specific niche of customers. They demand and want to create a certain type of outcome. They're willing to pay for that. But also, what I do in their eyes is a priority to the success of their wedding. What I do might not be a priority to some other people, and that's perfectly okay. I know that I'm not right for them. And I think that that's also a huge thing that took many years to define and I want to help people no matter if they are a paying customer or not, because that's who I am. It's just a matter if they're open to what I can give them or what kind of value I can provide.
Yeah. And that's why I keep encouraging you should have a course or a book or something that you can sell and share with people, because obviously Brian can only do so many weddings a year anyhow.
Right.
So the only other best thing to do is I think your passion and the desire to help people and give people a different perspective on how to look at how important their wedding day is important.
And I think that one thing to keep in mind for everybody that passes this along to somebody getting married or a parent or somebody that's helping, like a bridesmaid or a maid of honor or whatever, is that every wedding professional has a different point of view.
Yeah, so speak.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so speak to a bunch of interview a bunch of them and see which is going to be the right fit for you.
And here's the thing is that the price doesn't matter if, number one, you don't like the person, if they become a stranger, or if they don't have proof. You know what I mean? How much of that proof is actually valid? How much of that proof is actually legitimate? Are they talking about how great they are? Are they showing it over and over again, right? Are they there for the business and the dollars? Or are they there to serve and help and love their customers? Big difference in terms of what the business is around for. But the point of view, every professional, just like every actor, every plumber, whatever, they might have the same training, but how they do what they do is entirely different. And you may be missing an opportunity if you're unwilling to give somebody a little bit of your time to find out how they think, how they can help you, and how they can deliver your outcome.
I think that's the most important thing you said to cover this whole topic is don't just settle for the first cheap lawyer out there for a divorce.
Right. I don't know too many people that are going to have a open heart surgery or something significant or getting a divorce and they're just going to hire the cheapest lawyer to file the paperwork. I mean,
no, you'll get really screwed at the end. Trust me.
Yep.
I've seen people that's happened to. So again, we will pick up part 2 of this with some more questions next week. Brian, as always, I love seeing your passion when we talk about this topic here on our show. And anyways, do you want to conclude with something really quick, and then we're going to be out of here?
Sure. I just, there's too many limiting factors that people put themselves under when it comes to wedding. You either have 2 choices when it comes to your wedding. I don't believe that there's a third, and here's why, is that you can either have a cookie cutter experience or you can have an entirely personal custom experience. It's your choice. And I know some people are going to give me flack on that and they give me pushback, but it's like, to me, it's one or the other. And you go all in either way, but there is no middle. I think that it muddies the waters and it confuses people when they can have a little bit of both. And it's like semi-personal. No, it's a choice one way or another, and you make it happen, right? You do it the best of your abilities. But I think that that's a huge difference that people need to understand, is that you can't have the best of both worlds. You're either willing to invest in your wedding, not financially per se, but also with your time, your effort, your sharing, and trusting the people that are there to help you, or you're not. And it's fine either way.
I love it. Because remember, you're always right, no matter what.
Correct.
And you are the customer. And if you want it right, you got to know what you want. So
yeah,
enough said. And we'll see you guys next week for part 2.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you. Brian, stay right there.